Hi, I'm Tricia at Club Scrap, and in today's workshop, we're going to be working with the Doodles page kit. We'll start out by trimming and sorting all of the papers that came in the box, and then turn them into 8 12x12 scrapbook pages, ready for you to finish with photos. Let's get started. I have my Doodles page kit all ready to go. Here, everything's out of the bag. Now, if you have your little bag that it came in, I recommend putting the ribbon and the stickers and the other star embellishments, maybe even the pen, back into the bag. We're just going to work with the papers initially. And I want to, before I forget, mention something about this awesome pen. This is definitely a staff favorite at Club Scrap. We've included one for each of you in this Fun Doodles kit. And when you first open it, there's going to be a little red bulb on the tip of the pen. Just go ahead and snip it off and your pen should be good to go. You are going to love this one. Make sure you don't lose it or leave it behind or accidentally give it away to somebody because this is going to be a new favorite. All right, so let's set those items aside and just isolate the papers themselves. And we're going to put these into the order that we're going to be using them during the workshop. I like to throw my papers in the crook of my arm so that I can see them easily from the top. And we'll begin by finding the white print. Okay, so this has all the objects on it and it's white on the bottom side, and I'm just going to put it face down on my trimmer base here and then go back to my pile of prints and grab the black print. This has the white objects on it, so put that face down. Now, if you dig a little deeper in the stack, you're going to find some shades of gray. There's a dark gray and a light gray. So I'm looking for one sheet of light gray, and this is a really heavy cardstock, and then one sheet of the dark gray. This one has a texture on it, so I'm just going to put the texture side down. Later on, we're going to flip that paper stack right side up again. Next up, I want you to take one sheet of black, and it's smooth on both sides. And then finally, all 3 sheets of the lime green paper. We're going to be trimming tons of lime paper, all 3, and I'll put the texture side facing down. Usually facing away from you on the back of the pile, you'll be able to locate some sheets of Cutaparts. Let's find the one that has the star border on it and then the light gray border with the alphabet here. This is going to be the first one we'll trim, and then we'll do the other sheet of Cutaparts. That one has the big circle smiley face on there, face down. Next up, we'll grab a sheet of plain black and then one sheet of the white print. So white print face down. Then the remaining sheet of the black print face down. Then one sheet of dark gray with the texture side down once again, followed by 2 sheets of the white. They're white on both sides, be mindful of that. And then finally the 2 sheets of light gray. That should be all that's left in your pile. So lay those on the stack and then take the whole entire stack you just created and flip it back over to the white print, which is where we started. Now I'm going to be staying organized with my Accordion Pocket File. I will leave a link to this product in the description below where you can get a kit, follow along with the video, and make one of these for yourself. Okay, it's just made out of 12x12 paper, which is really cool. So this helps me just allow for 4 pockets of placement, and they're labeled 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4 pockets. And if you don't have this, go ahead and do the class anyway. Just maintain 4 piles with the same labels so that you can stay organized. The only difference is it just takes up more space to, not have this. Okay, so I'm going to take all of the papers that I've sorted and place them to my left. I usually like to keep my instructions at my right if you have printed them. And then I'm going to go ahead and take the white print from the stack. It doesn't really matter how it goes into the trimmer. It's pretty much the same in all directions. And let's go ahead and trim this at 11 1/4. So basically, some reminders. If this is your first time with the trimmer, ensure that the paper is flush at the top edge here. Make sure you're looking at the inches and not the centimeters. So 11 1/4 is way down here. So if I find the whole number 11, I'll go left 1 column to the 11 1/4 mark. Then I'll stabilize on this clear bar and slice. And once that slice has been made, don't be tempted to relocate the paper that fell. Okay, leave it right where it landed. That way I know where your paper is if you haven't moved it. Then we're slide down to 8 1/4. So once again, 8, go left 1 of those vertical columns on your trimmer here to 8 1/4, stabilize and slice. And then finally 4 3/4. So again, finding the whole number 4, you'll go left 1, 2, 3 columns, and that takes me to 4 3/4. Now all the pieces that we made are 12 inches long and my accordion pocket file is the same length. So when I take this larger piece here and also the next one, so the one that was in your trimmer, the one that just fell, these are going to be stacked and placed in pocket 1 and 2 at an angle so I can still see the numbers on my left and the paper, you know, sliding out up to the right here. This chunk from the middle that we trimmed plus the narrow piece that remains, we're going to file both of these in pocket 5 and 6. Now, if you're brand new to this method of trimming and measuring and filing, it might be a little bit too fast-paced for you. And if that's the case, no problem. Simply go into your YouTube settings. There is a playback speed option. In that playback speed, you can choose 0.75 to really slow me down, okay? And the measurements will come a lot slower. You won't have to press pause as often. Once you've done this method a few times, you'll feel more comfortable, and I'm sure you'll keep up just fine at regular pace. And if you're really advanced, go ahead and try it at 1.25. Let's see how it goes. All right, now with this black print, once again, any old way into the trimmer. Our first cut here will be at 10 3/4. So 10 plus 1, 2, 3. 10 3/4. Stabilize on the clear bar. Let the paper lay where it lands. Move down to a nice solid 8. And then 4 1/4. So 4 plus 1 column left. That's 4 1/4. The 4 1/4 inch piece, we're going to place that in pocket 3 and 4. The next strip, let's trim at 11 and 5 1/2. These two pieces we will place in pocket 7 and 8. And there's a small piece that fell. That one we're not going to use, so you can put it in a little pile of scraps. The next larger strip that remains, pocket 3 and 4 again. And then this narrow strip, I found a home for it on layout 1 and 2. Let's take the light gray. Oh, I had 2 pieces there. We don't want that to happen. One sheet of light gray we'll cut at 6 1/4. Then rotate so that the piece in the trimmer is horizontal. Cut at 8 1/2 and 4 1/4. The piece in the base of your trimmer goes in pocket 1 and 2. The other one, pocket 5 and 6. And then we have this little rectangle that fell from the end. We're going to trim this one at 6 and 3. That makes 2 rectangles the same size. We'll place them in pocket 5 and 6. There's a small little piece that fell from the end. Set that one aside. And then pick up the other larger piece that remains. We'll trim this one at 8 and 4. The piece in the trimmer goes in pocket 3 and 4. And then there are 2 left that are the same size for pocket 7 and 8. And then we move on to the dark gray with our cut again at 6 1/4. It's kind of a repeat. Rotate and trim at 8 1/2 and 4 1/4. The piece in the trimmer and the one that just fell is the same size. They both go in pocket 3 and 4. And then the rectangle that fell, trim at 6 and 3. Grab both of the rectangles that you just made. They're going to go in pocket 5 and 6. And then this little piece that fell, it's a scrap. This larger piece that remains will trim at 11 1/4. 7 1/2, 3 3/4. Notice I still hold the bar every cut. The 3 pieces that you made that are the same size, pocket 1 and 2, and believe it or not, the small little piece that fell, pocket 3 and 4. Turning the page to page 2, we'll go to the black plain, and we'll trim this one at 6 1/4. Rotate again, and we'll cut at 8 1/2 and 4 1/4. That makes 2 photo mats for us, and they're both going to go, the 2 pieces that are the same, in pocket 1 and 2. There's another rectangle that fell, and this time we're just going to put it as is into pocket 5 and 6. And grab the larger strip that remains, trim at 11 1/4. 7.5, 3 3/4. All three of these pieces of black that are the same size go in pocket 3 and 4. There's a small piece that remains. We're going to trim this actually, this little guy. We're going to trim this at 3 1/4. And when you do that, sometimes I find it's helpful if I move the piece down so that I can see the inch numbers, and there's a line right below the inch, and we're going to cut at 3 1/4 just by pushing down. The larger piece here goes in pocket 1 and 2, and the piece that fell is a scrap. Now bear with me as I cut each sheet of lime. I'm just hoping that we got all of this right. I'm going to do my best because there's a lot of pieces of lime here used in crazy ways. So follow along, and we're going to hope for a great outcome. We're starting here at 10 3/4, then 9 1/2, lots of cuts, 8 1/4, and 6. Rotate the 6x12 so it's horizontal and trim at 8 and 4. The two rectangles that are the same, there are two at least, place them in pocket 1 and 2. And then there's a third, that one goes in pocket 5 and 6. This very next strip, it's the widest one that remains, we'll trim at 9 1/2 and 4 3/4. The piece in your trimmer, place it in pocket 1 and 2. And then the other larger rectangle that remains, pocket 1 and 2. And there's this smaller rectangle. Now it landed like this, but we're going to turn it so it's vertical. In other words, I want the measurement of this rectangle when it's like this to be at 2 1/4 right now. And then we'll trim this at 1 1/2. And again, this is a really tiny cut, but because we have that clear bar, you can still push down. And then all the way down to 3/4 of an inch. So that's one column to the right of the one. And yes, I know it's very small, and I'm sorry. Okay, so now we have these three little rectangles, and they're all going to be used in pocket 1 and 2. And then you still have 3 strips left. Let's take one of them and place it in pocket 7 and 8. And then the other two, place them in pocket 1 and 2. The next sheet of lime, here we go, on a roll here. Let's trim this one at 10 1/2 and 6 1/4. Rotate the piece in the trimmer and cut at 8 3/4, 8 1/2, and 4 1/4. The two mats that you just made that are the same size go in pocket 7 and 8. And there's a really narrow strip that fell. We're going to get rid of him. And then we have this other shorter rectangle here. Let's trim this one at 6, 4 1/4, and 2 1/2. Okay, so this larger 2 1/2 inch piece, and then there are two other narrow rectangles that are the same. All of them go in pockets 7 and 8. They'll all have a home there. And there is a tiny little piece that I didn't use. So you can set that one aside and grab the next larger strip. This one we trim at 9 3/4 and 6 1/4. The larger photo mat here, we're going to place that in 5 and 6. And the rectangle and the smaller rectangle, they both go in 1 and 2. You have another strip here. That one goes in pocket 3 and 4. Next up, lime green here. Okay, our third and final sheet. We're going to trim a bunch of times at really big numbers here. So 11 3/4 is first, and that's just one column away from the 12. And I'm just going to be moving in 1/4 inch increments to create quite a few strips. So then we go to 11 1/2. That's the next column over. 11 1/4. 11, keep going, 10 3/4, 10 1/2, 10 1/4, making a big move now to 9 1/4, 7 3/4, and 4. Okay, take the 4-inch piece, rotate it so it's horizontal, and trim at 6. Gather up the 2 rectangles that are the same and place them in pockets 7 and 8. Take the next strip here, and we're going to do quite a bit of trimming once again. So this is 3 3/4 by 12 right now. We'll cut at 10 1/4, 10, 7 1/2, 5, 2 1/2. Okay, so we made a bunch of rectangles here. This first one, put it in pocket 1 and 2. The next one, pocket 3 and 4. The next one, and the next one. They should be the same size, pocket 5 and 6. Then you might find a little teeny guy. He's a scrap. This last little rectangle, we're actually going to cut it at 3 1/2 and 1 3/4. I know it's crazy. It's just a little crazy, but just bear with me. These 2 squares go in pocket 3 and 4. They're going to find a happy home there. And then we have this little, just this little piece here not used. Trim this 1 1/2-inch piece. This is the widest piece that remains. We're going to cut this one at 10 1/2, 9, 7 1/2, 6, 4 1/2, and 2 1/4. Okay, so with here, you just made 2 rectangles that are pretty small. Those both go in pocket 5 and 6. And then we have a whole bunch of squares. Let's get those filed. One of them goes in 5 and 6 with the friends. 3 of them go in pocket 3 and 4. The last one, 1 and 2. Then we have this wider, it's not that wide, it's only 1 inch. That goes in pocket 5 and 6. And a whole bunch of really narrow strips. Let's take 2 of them and put them in pockets 7 and 8. Let's take 3 of them and put them in pocket 5 and 6. And let's take 2 of them and place in pocket 3 and 4. Whew. All right, that was the end of the line. Now we're moving on to our Cutaparts. Now on the corners here, you're going to have some little marks that tell you where this paper needs to be trimmed in order to turn it into a 12 by 12. Right now it's about 12 1/4 by 12 1/4. I don't use my measurements initially. I use the guides to kind of look up and down at the outside edge of my silver blade on my trimmer. And I'll just make a slice there. I was able to see both at the top and bottom. If you can't see right away, then, you know, cut shy of the line and then finish cleaning it up on the final rotation here. I got that edge. Now I can still see those little white hash marks. If you can't see them, grab your cell phone camera, flashlight. And then I think I'm just going to clean this edge up just a little bit more. Okay, so now I've taken off all these little strips, and I'm going to get rid of those and turn my cut-apart sheet so that that alphabet is on the right edge. And if you put it in the trimmer at 11 inches, you should see that your blade's going to go right between the 2 border strips here. That was 11. And then I'll slide down to 10, and then 9. Next up is going to be 7 3/4, 6 1/2, 4 1/2, and 2 1/4. Okay, so these 2 matching strips, they're both going to go in pocket 5 and 6. And then you have this long strip that includes a journaling prompt with lines there. That goes in 3 and 4. And the next piece we're going to trim. So place it in the trimmer so that the crown is on the right. Cut at 10 3/4, 9 1/2, 8 1/4, 7, 5 3/4. Now bear with me, 2 7/8. You can do it. So if you go to 2 3/4 and 3, right in between those two numbers, you've got 2 7/8. So halfway between 2 3/4 and 3, we want 2 7/8. All right, the two matching pieces here, pocket 7 and 8. Now we have a bunch of squares. So the first one that we have in my stack, it's the present shape. It's a gift that goes in 3 and 4. We have an alarm clock for 5 and 6. We have a cupcake for 1 and 2, and then a globe and a crown going into 3 and 4. We have this cute little The Best Days strip, pocket 3 and 4. And then we have two light gray strips with patterns on them, pocket 1 and 2, and the alphabet for 7 and 8. On the home stretch for trimming, let's go ahead and remove the outer perimeter of this sheet according to those little guide marks on the edges. Now here, for the first cut, my paper is just too large for me to see the outer edge of the hash marks at the bottom, so I cut shy of the guide mark. Now when I rotate, my paper should be small enough for me to see bottom, top. I'll adjust that to alignment here. And like if you have the paper resting level at the top and the guide marks don't line up, the guide marks are what take precedent. On this cut, I should be able to look left and see the number 12. And then on this final cut, I'll bring it to a number 12 inches. It's looking quite lovely. I'll get rid of my little edges. And making sure that star power is on the left. Our first cut should land us at 10 1/2, going right between the strips of artwork. Then 8 1/2, 6 1/4, and 4. Rotate this 4-inch piece so it's horizontal, and we're going to trim this one at 10 and 6. Star power here, that goes in pocket 7 and 8. Our smiley face, pocket 1 and 2. And friends also goes in pocket 1 and 2. This piece here, pocket 7 and 8. And now we need to make some trims here. So keep going. This should be the little piece on the right, and we're going to cut every 1/2 inch. So 11 1/2, 11, 10 1/2, 10. Scoot all the way down to 7, and then 3 1/2. Okay, so this larger piece, friends make the good times better and the hard times easier, pocket 1 and 2. Start each day with a grateful heart, 3 and 4. I'm not messy, I'm creatively organized, that's me, pocket 7 and 8. Then we have all these little strips of cute little expressions, pocket 1 and 2. Oh, we're almost there, my friends. These you can trim every 3/4 of an inch. So with those little banners on the edge, we're going to go 11 1/4, 10 1/2, 9 3/4, 9, and then all the way down to 4 1/2. All I need is sleep and Wi-Fi. That's 5 and 6. You have to be odd to be number 1, also 5 and 6. And then one of those little banners, 5 and 6, and all of the rest go in 7 and 8. One last strip and we are done. So make sure the little square is on the right. We'll go 10 1/2, 9, 6, and 3. All right, so this journaling prompt, pocket 7 and 8. The horizontal prompt, 5 and 6. The other tag shape, 7 and 8. And then these two squares, pocket 3 and 4. I am so happy to report you have completed all of the trimming, hopefully, for all 8 layouts. Hope we got all those lime green papers in the right spots. I'm going to go ahead and lock my trimmer blade, remove my Accordion Pocket File from the base of my trimmer, which was holding it up, and I'll make sure I lay this on its back for the remainder of our time together. The trimmer is designed to hold it upright, so once we're done with that, we got to lay it down on its back. I don't want to risk it falling off the table onto the floor, because then you'd be really sad, and so would I. So if I take the remaining sheet here, the whole entire stack, and I set this to the left of the center of my workspace and slide the top sheet over. That's going to prepare me for pages 7 and 8 actually of my layout plan. So we are actually going to turn then to the back of our instructions, page 4 at the bottom. It says layouts 7 and 8. The base of the left side is with the white print and the base of the right side is black. So we're gonna actually start with like 7 and 8 and then keep sliding the papers over, and then we'll end with page 1 on top. And that way you can go back and stick everything down with your adhesive once we have completed our workshop video. So there is a lot of stuff in that pocket. Make sure you dig deep and get all of it. And I'm still hoping that my lime green plan works out in my favor. Okay, so we are going to start with, let's see, I'll take the 2 light gray mats out of the stack. I'm going to place those across the bottom of this page because that will help us kind of determine some sizing here and some placement. Above that, I'll add the lime green strip, and then nesting on that will be my alphabet border strip. There should be 2 larger green mats. They're going to fit. They're just going to fit, okay? Vertically, side by side. The one on the right is going to get one of these cut-aparts. Now, let me just say, if you have a lot of photos, feel free to put a photo over it or instead of it, however you want. Let's move to the left for just a moment, and I'm going to add 2 horizontal mats here. And then I have my little prints. Those fit right on top of the gray. Should nest perfectly. Vertically on the left edge, we're going to add the border strip here from the cut-aparts, and then a narrow green strip on the left and right edges of it. So when I added this, I glued this down first and then added the strip on either side. What else can we do? Let's see. We've got these pieces. If you want, you can clip the corners, but you can almost not even tell because the paper behind it is black as well. And then you're going to find one of these narrower pieces of green should fit right in there, along with the vertical journaling prompt cut apart. It's like a puzzle, right? And then, let's see, we've got another narrow green. It's going to go right here with the tag, and I'll have some ribbon going out from there. Lastly, the I'm Not Messy has a mat that's going to go here. And I'll show you some ribbon tricks that I pull. If you want, you can fussy cut the 2 tags. That's the only way they're really going to fit on here. And then this last one I just added right here, so you could take your doodling pen that you got in your kit and just add a little note, you know, add your journaling with your fun pen that you are going to absolutely love. So allow me to show you the finished pages to kind of explain some of the other things that I did here. In your kit, you've got a little collection of 5 of these puffy stars. So I went ahead and added them, but you can be mindful if you want to really cram a lot of photos onto this page, you may not want to put them there because they're going to obstruct, or you could just add a photo in this area, you know, and just be aware of where you put your adhesive so that you can just slide the picture underneath there. You can see the fussy cut banners right here. Those look really good. And then, oh yes, I added from the little box of all of your quote stickers, I added an extra quote there that you can fill out. Totally up to you how much you want to do here. On the facing page, I took my slot punch after this was nested onto the green. I used my slot punch to create a nice slot in which I could thread the gray taffeta ribbon and then just tape the ends around to the back. Finally, I made just a basic bow out of some of the leftover gray ribbon that I had at the end. Gave it a nice swallow's tail cut, and then just added it right above this to kind of make it look like a frame, like a hanging frame. I thought it was really cute. Also, this I added with foam adhesive just to give it a little bit of height. And here, again, added this first, and then used the nozzle of a glue applicator to add the strips. Worked like a charm. Okay, so with this page kind of completed, I'm going to slide the white print over on top of the black base. Then I'll pick up the next black print, and that should expose the required bases for layouts 5 and 6, and it does. Dark gray on the left, black print on the right. We need to empty pocket 5 and 6. Now remember, we're working back to front here, so be careful not to empty the first pocket, which I've done. So to begin, let's take this white print and place it flush with the top left edge of the layout. And then we're going to add one of these strips with the stars and arrows. Notice there are two wider dark gray strips. We're going to nest a narrow green just to add a little pop of color to that side. And then there's a taller photo mat here. Make sure you grab the tallest of the two. I'm going to just switch over to the right here just because that's how things are in my hand. I'm going to take the gray and then nest it with the green. I've got a tall black. I'm just going in order here now what I'm running across. And then it's cool because these two light gray kind of puzzle in and everything fits so well right through here. On this side I have some dark gray that I'm going to add here. Below it, the narrower-ish green strip with the white print. Now vertically, I've added another wider border strip here, and I nested the green on this. Then I stretched out some of the black and white twine on this other dark gray strip here. I'll show you on the finished page so it'll make sense. Now there should be a tall, narrow green in which you can nest the "you have to be odd to be number 1. This confused me a little bit when I was proofing the instructions, but I trimmed two smaller rectangles that can go here, and I topped them with some of the stickers. And then I also added the journaling prompt here. Then up on the top here, some angled smaller mats. Now over here, you're going to have another one of those mats. I had accidentally put it in pocket 1 and 2, so we'll see how it works out in the end, but that's where I found it. And then we have the little alarm clock that goes here. Okay, so now on the finished page, let's just talk about all those things that we did here. I did wrap that twine around and taped the ends to the back. And then I also just punched a hole in here and added some of the twine to the tag and tied a little bow. I'm not sure how well you can see that. Here you go. And then in this area, I just added some of those quote stickers. Thought they were super cute. On the facing page, here we have our alarm clock. Now notice that the artwork on here has a rounded corner. So I took my 3-in-1 corner punch and just rounded the corner on the smallest setting. I believe it was the radius 4. And then the same thing on the mat. So trimming it, rounding those corners is your call. I also added it with foam adhesive. And then here, the side of the cut apart was punched with that slot punch, again threaded with the taffeta ribbon, which is wrapped around to the back. Let's go ahead and slide the dark gray over. Slide one sheet of the white. We'll double back on our instructions, going to layouts 3 and 4, and we'll empty pocket 3 and 4. Let's take this larger piece of the black print. That's going to go flush at the top edge, and then the other piece will go flush with the right edge. Here you can take the wider lime green strip and nest it with the cut apart that says "The Best Days." On the right, I just did a little differently. So I took the narrow strip, added that first, then the vertical cut apart with the journaling prompt, then the other strip, kind of in that order. So boom, 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 boom. I'm using my glue nozzle to help. Take the darker gray pieces, and then above this, we're going to put this scrap, and I rounded the outside corners of that. And then I took the 3 little lime green squares, rounded those corners. It's all optional. And then I took the 3 decorative squares, rounded those corners, the globe, the crown, and the gift. Down in the lower left here, I added a row of 3 equally spaced black mats. The gray goes above. Start each day with a grateful heart goes next to that. There are 2 lime green squares, And then you can add our little artwork, square artwork there. It's like putting the last piece in on a puzzle, isn't it? There should be 2 little stars left. I added one to this square and then one down here next to the printed star on the cut apart. Thought that was a cute way to use it. So here is the right side. So there's the little puffy star. I added 2 more of the quote stickers here and then 1 more up here. You can see my rounded corners. And then these 3 pieces all rounded and added with foam adhesive. On the facing page, we have, I did, before I added this, I punched a hole right here and then I threaded some ribbon on through. And then to the top of it, I just made a little bow and added it there with some adhesive. And then there's my little star. I added all the stars with bookbinding glue dispensed from a needle-tipped applicator. So that wraps up pages 3 and 4. And now I can take the white base of page 3, slide it on over. 1 more piece of gray to slide over. That leaves me with 2 pieces of light gray. I'm going to empty everything else from pocket 1 and 2. And the narrower piece, I believe, is going to go along the top edge here, and then the wider piece along the inner edge on the right page. Then we've got some lime green strips, 1 over here and 1 over here. And we also have some decorative borders that are light gray on the inside. There should be a series of 3 dark gray mats that will fit nicely right in here. We're going to also anchor things down below with the remaining sheet of black print. Now, you should have some larger black mats that should nest with your slightly smaller green mats. I'm going to angle those, put one higher than the other, and overlapping them slightly, and place them down in this lower corner like so. This remaining light gray mat that brings the color over from the other side, it should be the same width as the green here. We should have a green that nests with this. It's going to kind of sit right in that border strip. And then we have the other wider strip that says Friends that goes next to it like this. We accidentally kept the wider piece of black, but it's actually the smaller piece that we set aside. That's the piece that we needed. So I hope you kept your scrap. But if you didn't save this little scrap, go ahead and trim the longer one that we kept. Trim that to 2.5. Sorry about that. Partners in Crime is going to be added right over here by Friends. You can use a 4-inch die cut circle or just take your scissors and trim along the line here to have our little happy face. There should be a small square for your cupcake. Again, rounding the corners is optional, but I anchored it right here down in the lower left corner. Then we have the 3 little rectangles of lime that are left. Those are going to go here, and make sure you only put adhesive kind of on the left edge. So I started with Wake Up and Be Amazing, and then I kept with Keep Going, and then Don't Kill My Vibe. Okay, let's take a peek. So again, here you can see all these tags pop up so I can slide the picture behind them. And I did add a little strip of the black and white twine after I added the strip of green here. So that's completely optional. I did the same thing over on this side. You can see the strip of twine right over here. Maybe not something you would have caught by just looking at the instructions. I added a cute little crisscross staple here on the Partners in Crime before I added it. I tilted the face a little bit because I did trim it out. So, I mean, you can have it level and not trimmed out, or you can angle it like this. I thought that was kind of fun. This piece and this piece was added with foam adhesive circles, and I finished it off with a couple more of those cute little quote stickers. You can add those anywhere you want, even on top of your photos once you're done placing them. So congratulations, you have reached the end of just the placement part of the video. And the video will be over shortly so that you can grab your favorite adhesive. I use this ATG gun. It's really efficient and it dispenses yards and yards and yards of adhesive at a very economical rate. And it's pretty environmentally friendly because the only thing you throw away is the backing and a small plastic core, and you can replace it again with hundreds of yards of adhesive. So if you haven't given that a try, highly recommend it. And as a side note, I want to mention that we did make a bonus card kit print and a bonus card kit instruction pack. So if you liked the page kit and you want to make cards out of it, I've got some great options for you. Maybe search on our YouTube channel for the Doodles card bonus. I don't know what I'm going to call it yet. Maybe I'll put the link to the video up somewhere on the screen here so you can tune in and see how I transformed this page kit into cards. Whether or not we do a card kit bonus print or anything like that, you can usually transform any of our page kits into cards just by adapting the Cutaparts and following some past fun formulas. So I want to thank you so much for joining me today for this fun Doodles page kit workshop. If you haven't already, make sure you're subscribed to our channel so you don't miss future debuts and other workshops and tips and tricks. And then if you're not a member of Club Scrap, consider a membership. It's nice because you get to choose how long you stay around. There's no minimum time commitment, but members do save a substantial amount on every kit. So we hope to welcome you into the Club Scrap family if you aren't already. And if you are, thank you. I'll see you next time.